All right, everybody, welcome on into the live stream here today with the um, Spirit Health Cleanse. I am your host today. If you haven't seen me before, I'm Gio Pensino, and I am hosting here today along with Marc Mangus. I'm about ready to bring him onto stage, and I want to give you a quick introduction to what it is that we're speaking on today. It's a very exciting topic. This is an introduction to the 3-day Spirit Health Fasting Cleanse that Marc facilitates. He's getting ready to facilitate, and today is an introduction to what that fast is all about and answer questions about what's included, what's involved, and to dispel any myths about fasting. So let me go ahead and bring Marc onto the stage here. Welcome, Marc. Can you hear us okay?
I can. Hi, Gio. Hello, everyone. It's
So
amazing to be here.
so good. Where are you dialed in from today? I'm always like you're like the traveling shaman. Where are you today?
I'm in Boston at this amazing memorial park in the middle of downtown, and it's a busy park, and you can see beautiful water behind me, and I'm just surrounded by nature and people and ducks. It's a beautiful place.
Oh my God, I love it. Well, that's got a close place in my own heart because I grew up in New England and actually worked for the Parks Department in Boston for 2 years at the very beginning of my career as a horticulturalist, and then as a landscape architect. So you're speaking to my spirit today.
Nice.
Well, I want to invite our guests who are watching us on into the live stream and encourage everybody to play full out here today. And what I mean by that is to go on into the chat window and let us know if you have done a fast before, and maybe when is the last time that you've done a fast. We're going to be answering questions about doing fasts, and Marc has a very unique way of guiding a fast. It's very different. I participated in the last fast, and it's very different than anything I've ever done before, and it really changed my life. And this is not about me today, but I will share some of the experiences that I have that are relevant. But like I said, I want you to play full out in the chat window. Let me know if you've done a fast before and when was the last time that you've done a fast. And Marc, let's go ahead and jump on into things and talk about this spirit health fast. And why don't you start off by letting the audience know who this fast is for and what are some of the challenges that this fast is designed to help people overcome, and why it might be a good choice for people.
Sure. So I think the short answer to that is anyone who's really struggling with kind of low energy, brain fog, dealing with chronic conditions where maybe you have to take medication for your condition, or you've tried a bunch of things and nothing's really helped. This is a way to kind of reset, kind of draw a new line in the sand, and figure out a new way to be. And part of what we do, and really the missing part for me all my life until I learned this, was the emotional and spiritual support to do the physical part. When people think of fasting, you think of the physical part, right? But it's really mind, body, and spirit. And my approach to it is just that. It's very integrated and holistic. And so you experience transformation and change on all three of those fronts.
That's amazing. And I know that you didn't just make this process up out of nowhere. Like you were kind of handing down or sharing a tradition and a learning from quite a long lineage. And tell us a little bit about your direct mentor, your experience in the school that you studied in, and a little bit about just kind of how this whole process, this particular way of rebuilding the body, has emerged.
Sure. So I am a graduate of the Four Winds Society and their energy medicine program, which is connected to the lineage of the Caro shamans of the Andes that goes back to the time of the Inca. And so a lot of the practices that I teach in my workshop and in my longer form program are based on that lineage. And they operate according to a core principle they call AYNI, AYNI, which loosely translates into English as harmony and reciprocity. And it's reciprocity with yourself and with all things, kind of the interconnectedness of all things. And they don't even have word for disease or sickness because they believe that everything that you experience in your life that is not something that you enjoy or prefer is because you're out of harmony, you're out of AYNI. And so all the practices are designed to show you the way, if you will, or allow yourself to, or illuminate a path so that you can show yourself the way back into harmony, back into AYNI. And so it doesn't matter at that point what you're struggling with, the path is the same, AYNI, right?
Love
In your
that.
body, your mind, and your spirit have the wisdom to bring you back into that alignment.
I love that. That really is one of the things, certainly, that I've experienced myself. And I honestly didn't, like, I heard you speak about this word, and it's like a foreign word. And it kind of sounds funny. It's a little funny to say, right, in English. But I really feel it now. Like, I really experience it in my life. And I want to ask if it seems appropriate, if you want to share a little bit about your mentor, Dr. Alberto Volodo. I actually have his book right in front of me right now, Grow a New Body. Tell us a little bit about like his experience, because his experience in terms of what caused him to write the book and now inform your own process that you teach about growing a new body is a pretty extreme experience. So do you want to share that?
Yeah, it's really interesting and powerful, his story, because he wrote this book called One Spirit Medicine, I don't know, 30 years ago. And it was really just documenting the lifestyle and the relationship with food and growing and all that kind of stuff that the indigenous people in the Andes did. And it was fascinating. I thought it was great. But then, 30 years later, he had his own health crisis. And he was walking across the stage giving a lecture and collapsed just out of the blue. And they rushed him to the hospital, did all the tests, and determined that his body was riddled with parasites, different kinds of parasites, from all the trips to the Amazon and Africa and every place that he's gone over the years. And his specifically his liver was about to fail. His heart had holes in it, and he had parasites in his brain. And so basically the doctor said, we can probably do something about your liver and maybe your heart, but nothing we can do about your brain, buddy. You got about a 5% chance to live, to pull through this. And so he had a moment of consciousness, I guess, where he had to choose, do I go the medical the Western medical route, or do I go back to the Amazon to my teachers and have them show me how to heal? And as he describes in his book, it was a very close thing, but he decided to go back to the Amazon. And long story short, he grew a new liver. All the heart damage from the parasites is gone. All the parasites in his body are gone. And he did take the medicine for the parasites in his brain, but he was able to flush those parasites out and heal his brain over time using these principles. So it's just mind blowing, and it's all medically documented. He's a doctor himself. He's got 2 PhDs, so he knows that evidence is important, and he documented this whole journey.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I find very unique about what you're doing, and again, like kind of how you're not just pulling this out of thin air, but that there's kind of combining this ancient teaching and learning with modern science. So let's talk a little bit about the body aspect of fasting and what actually happens in regards to, I believe it's called autophagy. That's essentially the scientific explanation of what Dr. Alberto, how his body grew, and it's not unique to him, but it's a scientific element of what happens when the body goes into a fasting state.
Yeah, so anybody that's ever tried to have a diet and have it not work knows about ketosis, right? That's where your body's through deprivation starts to burn fat. And but what a lot of people don't know is that when you're in a prolonged state of ketosis, fat burning, eventually you go into what's called autophagy. And it's different for each person, but it's generally 17 or 18 hours of no food intake. And what autophagy does is it kicks the body into survival mode. And when that happens, what the body's trying to do is maximize its energy. It's trying to burn fat, get rid of all of the dead weight, if you will. And what those are called zombie cells or senescent cells. They're neither dead nor alive. They're not helping you in any way. And they're just taking space and energy in your body. The only time that those cells get taken care of, get naturally flushed, is when you're in autophagy. And guess what? Most people don't ever allow themselves to become hungry because they equate being hungry with being in pain. Your body needs to be hungry, but you can do it in a way that's very supportive and very safe. And you allow your body to do what was naturally, in terms of biological evolution, what it was created to do. So not too long ago on the timeline, we were running around and we were very opportunistic in what we ate. Basically, we ate whatever we could find. And when there was a lot of food, we would eat a lot of food. And there was no food, we would eat no food, right? So we'd go through long periods of time, days, where we didn't eat. And our bodies are set up to handle that. But we don't allow ourselves to do that anymore, right? So the way that I do it is more of a kind of a lifestyle pattern that I teach people how to do, where you can live with autophagy and be completely safe and get all the nutrition you need and no risk to losing muscle or anything like that. There's a way to do it. And the ancients knew how to do it.
So there's
And
a
they
science.
basically took their cue from biology without even having a concept of biology. It was
So
just, I need.
there's a science to it, and there's more to it as well. I want to stay somewhere in the science part of it, or let's say the aspect of the autophagy and what happens with when the body goes into ketosis, because this is, as I understand it, and as I've experienced it as well, going through the last fast, is that it is quite a phenomenal process that is very good for weight loss. And
Mm-hmm.
so, do you want to share a little bit about your own personal experience with weight loss and what also happened in regards to the way that your body changed itself, and tell just a little bit about your story?
Yeah. So, I've suffered with my weight my whole adult life, and I've had a lot of health problems, health crises. But just talking about the weight loss, I started losing weight in earnest probably 2018 or so. I found a program called Wild Fit, and it really was a food education program, and it told you, how autophagy works, how ketosis works, what different food compounds should be eaten when during the day, that kind of stuff. And I started to lose weight, but it was very slow, and involved a lot of suffering and deprivation in my mind, the mental part, right? So it took me, I don't know, 4 or 5 years to lose 40, 50 pounds or so. And I was and all of my other health problems remained, right? But when I went through this program with Dr. Alberto, and I learned the Grow a New Body method with the support, the emotional and spiritual support component that I was missing, it really kickstarted not only my weight loss, but all of the other health problems that I was dealing with: chronic pain, inflammation. My A1C was out of whack. All the vitamin levels in my body were out of whack, right? Even when I was losing weight before, all of those things were still a problem. I can tell you now that I'm completely pain free. I've lost 130 pounds. I'm not taking any Western medication at all. And I have so much energy. I have so much energy now that I feel like I'm in my 20s again. It's crazy. And it's all because I realized that I had an INI problem. I was out of balance, out of harmony. And the weight loss was a reflection of that. This isn't a weight loss program per se. It's a harmony program. So whatever you have that's out of balance in your life, I will guide you through the steps to find out for yourself what those are. I'm not going to tell you, only you know, right? But those things will appear and they will be very clear what you need to work on and what you need to bring back into balance. And that could be weight. It could be some kind of a chronic condition that you've been dealing with and nothing seems to work for, right?
Yeah, I can relate to that as well, because even though when I entered into the fast, I can't remember. Well, weight loss was one of the things that was top and center in my mind, and I dropped down into the chat window, for our audience that is watching right now, just to ask people whether weight loss is a thing. For me, it was actually a thing, and it kind of crept up on me. And I didn't realize, that I turned out to be, a fair amount overweight, like not, well, actually by the BMI, whatever that index is, which is a little bit crazy, but I was in the obese, category. But I have a pretty, big build to my body. But anyways, weight loss was a big thing. And so I just asked in the comments, and I asked a couple other questions too about whether people have experienced doing fasting before. And so some of the people watching right now, Peter says that he's never done a fast before. Kristen says she fasted as a teen and in my 20s, but it's been decades. And I think that's insightful as well, because I know, again, for myself, like things kind of creep away sometimes in terms of like, oh, I think I'm doing something. And then, I realize, oh, my weight has gotten, I'm speaking to my own self, it was something that was out of INI. I didn't know what it was.
Right.
Corey says 2 years ago, and she says she did more of an 18-hour fast. So people are engaged in the chat window right now. I just wanted to let you know, and this is a super relevant topic to people on so many different levels. And
I
so
love that. And I remember one of the pieces of feedback I got in the last round we did this. One of the students said that he'd never gone more than 24 hours without eating in his life, and he was in his 50s.
Yeah.
And he found this to be, I wouldn't say easy, but fun and supportive, right? It's not easy because it's new and there are things that you have to work on and change, certainly. But I think fasting can be fun and it can be engaging and it can be uplifting and energetic. It's not the deprivation that most people kind of associate with it, especially if you do it as a lifestyle.
I
It
agree.
really becomes that.
I agree. And that was my experience too, because I had done 2 different fasts, one that I was kind of forced into when I was in Mexico. I got the dengue fever, and so the positive side is that I ended up, not eating for about 10 days. But I do want to just hit on this point just for one quick minute in terms of the results, because I know for myself, like I'm much more motivated to do something when I know that there's concrete results to expect. And I know, that you can't guarantee anybody results, but how much weight did you lose yourself as a result of not just a 3-day fast, but just your overall approach to fasting and the way that you do things?
Yeah, I think it was, I just want to be clear to the audience that it's not just the fasting that did it. It was everything that I did, mind, body, spirit, that led me to so far 130 pounds of weight loss. And now I feel like I'm kind of in a rebalancing phase. I'm not like losing a couple of pounds a week anymore. I'm gaining muscle. My body is changing shape. It's all part of the process. And it's all part of checking in and developing a dialogue with your body, which is something I teach. I call it the body dialogue method. You basically can create a clear channel and talk to your body, and it will always tell you The wisdom in your body is incredible. It would tell you if you should eat or drink something in the moment. You get an immediate answer. Yes, no. Should I eat this? Should I drink this? And if you use that as a guide, as I have, it doesn't just transform your weight, your chronic pain, chronic conditions. It transforms your life. Having your body engaged that way, it's like you have a new ally that's with you on this journey that you're calling life, right? And you have that open communication and open dialogue, and it brings so much joy into daily existence to know that you're not all in your head, where when you go there, you can feel very alone because
Yes.
you feel like you got to figure it all out, right? It's all rational and mental. But when you engage all aspects of who you are, especially the wisdom of your body and your spirit, you get so much guidance, and you don't feel alone anymore. You don't feel like, you're having to come up with the checklist on your own, because guess what? There is no checklist. Put it down. Just listen to your body.
Yeah, I can also say, and a couple of friends that I relate to that, because like I said, I'd done a couple of fasts by myself. They were good, they were helpful and everything, but doing it with you and in the community. And what I discovered for myself was that the lack of community was one of the things that was out of harmony for me. And I kind of knew that before. Again, we can know these things, but then there's a difference between knowing something and actually doing it. So the spirit health, fast with your group, it kind of re-sparked that off. And even though it was, an online experience, it connected me to other people who I just share values with, and we supported each other. And then that carried over into my outer community rebuilding. And so I've really done a lot to rebalance that aspect of my life. And it's hard to put it into words, but the result of it for me, well, I have lost 25 pounds. I've kept 25 pounds off. So on the result side, for me, that's the testament to it. But more so, like what you just said, like I've rebuilt community, I've taken the effort, and got out into the world to really connect with people and rebalance that part of what I was doing. So I hear
Beautiful.
you saying, like, so it's a mind body thing. And let's talk about the mind part of the fasting process, because I know a lot of people, including myself, can have challenges with the mind, or the brain specifically, part of the mind. The brain is part of the mind, but have brain fog. And so talk a little bit about how fasting resets that mechanism and creates clarity.
Yeah. So one of the huge epiphanies I had in going through this training initially a couple years ago was understanding what a magnificent organ our brain is. First of all, there's three major parts of it, right? They call it the triune brain. There's the lower brain, the midbrain, and the higher brain. But the whole brain can run on either fat or sugar. But what they don't tell you in science class is that when you're eating a lot of things that turn into sugar in your bloodstream, you're feeding your lower brain, which is the primate brain and the reptile brain, right? And that part of your brain is very limited and only really knows how to fight, flight, or fornicate. That's it. So think about people that eat processed food and sugar all the time. They're feeding that part of their brain. So how hard is it to make any kind of emotional change if you're constantly feeling like you're under threat and you're actually literally feeding your anxiety? You can't just decide to change when that's what you're doing to your brain, right? So when you give your brain fat, especially healthy fat that doesn't carry all the other problems, carcinogens and different things. So basically I'm talking about plant fat. You feed your higher brain, your neocortex. And the neocortex is what the scientists refer to as the God brain, because they measure monks that are in deep meditation with various different kinds of brain scans. And the only part of their brain that's lit up is a small spot in the neocortex. So the supposition is that part of your brain That's where your pineal gland is too, right? That part of your brain is what connects us to source, to all that is, to spirit, whatever your word for it is, God, right? Um, so when you're eating plant fat and not sugar, you're feeding your neocortex. Interestingly, that's also the rational part. So you can think better. You're connected to source more. And guess what? The brain fog goes away. The brain fog is associated with your lower brain, right? There's a direct correlation to what you put in your mouth and how you're able to think and what your perception of the reality around you is. It's not too hard to feel that in your heart that that's the way it works.
Yeah, I can be a testament to that on a couple of levels because on the brain functioning part of things, like I work quite hard. I use my brain a lot in the work that I do. I do a lot of writing and communication and things that really require clarity in my mind and the words that come out of my mouth. And so that is that's the functional part of the brain. But the part that I honestly didn't fully expect to change so much is what I might say being the nonlinear aspect of the connection between the higher brain as you're describing it.
Mm-hmm.
Because now I'm getting downloads of clarity that is informing my work at a level that I can barely put into words. And I've been, on my own spiritual path my entire life. And so the use of intuition and as a source of insight and things to inform my work has always been really since I was a teenager has been an element to it. But yeah, the opening of the higher brain through I've almost entirely eliminated sugar as a result of the fast, and it hasn't been a challenge because there is something that happens through the fasting process and resetting the gut biome that has almost completely released my craving for sugar. Like I would
Mm-hmm.
say like 95%. Like I get a little small emotional sometimes, desire for food, but I never eat candy bars anymore. I never put sugar in my things anymore, and as a result, as you describe it, I feel like the my experience of the connection to my source is elevated um, at a 10x level. It's like I said, a
Yeah.
little hard to put into words.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible to think. I mean, it doesn't take that long either. And I want the audience to know this isn't about taking big wild swings and making huge changes in your life. That didn't work for me, and it doesn't work for almost anybody I've ever met that's trying to change. You have to make small incremental changes. And over a very short period of time, those little changes add up to a lifestyle change that you can sustain. And that's the key. You don't want to go on a diet. You don't want to, you know, go to the gym to get in shape. All that thinking is laden with suffering. And that's not what life should be about. Life should be about exuberant joy and boundless energy. And the way to achieve that is through feeling your life through your heart and having a heart connection to everything around you. How do you do that? You make small incremental changes in your current life to bring you into harmony, to bring you into harmony, whatever that looks like for you. Don't let anybody tell you what it looks like because you know. You just have to release the things that don't serve you anymore and let that Aini come in.
Yeah, I can relate to that because I've been a leader, mentor, coach for many years now, about 15 years, and I used to very much tell people how to do things. And the Aini, the harmony now that I really have integrated more so is exactly as you say, which is to create an allowing space. And I think this is
Mm-hmm,
especially important around shifting lifestyle and shifting to create, like you said, a lasting change. And that has
mm-hmm,
been the result for me. Like my food, what's in my refrigerator now is completely different. It's
mm-hmm,
completely different. I haven't completely gone away from from meat. So, but I'm about 90%, plant-based food at this point, and for me, that's a big shift. But yeah, I don't think I ever heard you say like you need to stop eating meat or any of that.
Yeah, and if you look at so another fundamental shift in thinking that is very anti-Western is in the West we study disease, we don't study health, and we have a disease care system. So when you get sick, you go get help. But there's almost nobody out there that you can go to and say, how do I live a healthy lifestyle? Not just food, not just exercise, but how do I live a healthy lifestyle? How do I come into balance? Even without that word I need, right? How do I come into balance from a Western perspective? It doesn't exist. But if we look around the world, there are a lot of cultures that are very healthy into old age and don't have disease. And if you look at them, you can look at Dan Buettner's books on the Blue Zone.
Yes.
And it's got some great information in it because it shows how these societies work. And they all have one thing in common, which is they're very plant forward. They're not vegan. They're not even vegetarian, but they get the bulk of their calories, like 80 to 90% of their calories from plants. And then the animal products that they eat are kind of an enhancement to that.
Yes.
For flavor or whatever, right? So whereas in America, we have a giant steak and potatoes on the side, right? And a little salad, maybe if we're lucky. They do the opposite. Giant salad or giant bowl of cooked vegetables and a little tiny 2-ounce piece of meat of something on the side, right?
Yes.
So I call that a plant forward diet.
Yes.
Now, if you're guided to become vegan, like I was, great. But part of what I practice is non-judgment. There is no judgment.
Yeah.
The only judgment is self-judgment.
Everybody's body is a little different. Everybody's body is a little different.
Yeah.
Well, Mark, as I want to respect our time and everything and the audience time. Today here is kind of an introduction to what your upcoming 3-day fast is all about. I want to say a couple of things before we do wrap up. We're not in a hurry to wrap up or anything. I do want to encourage anybody to drop on into the comments any questions that you might have for Mark. Like I said, we're not gonna all of a sudden end the live stream and jump off real quick, but it is Memorial Day weekend, and I know we've all got plans. So, and people may be watching this in the future as well who have questions. So drop on into the comments any questions that you have for Mark, and we're going to continue the conversation, within this event space on Facebook. So drop your questions in there, and also invite anybody who is having health challenges right now. Maybe health challenges with weight or health challenges with brain fog or pre-diabetic conditions. These are all things, high blood pressure. These are all things. We talked about some things that were quite extreme, like your condition. Dr. Alberto's condition was very extreme, but there's a lot of people that have what Western medicine has now considered like almost expected. Like when you're above 50, doctors now expect you to almost have pre-diabetic conditions, high blood pressure. They like, if you don't have that, like you're an unusual person, which is
high cholesterol.
Ridiculous. Cholesterol.
Everybody's got to take a statin, right?
Yep, they expect it. That's what they give. So, anyways, as we do, start to move towards the completion of this live stream, share with the audience who may be with us live or listening in the future to the recording of this. When is the 3-day fast? What is it all about? What's the cost for joining it?
Yeah, so it's June 7th, 8th, and 9th. And what it looks like is there's going to be 3 live coaching sessions. And when you sign up before that date, let's say you sign up today, I'll be sending you kind of the prep guide to get you ready, so that you can start fasting on day 1 already, everything ready to go. And the cost is $347. But if you sign up before midnight tomorrow, which is Sunday, you can get it for $97. I want to make sure that this is accessible and affordable to people. This is my calling, and this is a small introduction to the work that I do. I do have a longer form program that's 12 weeks, that's really designed for more mind, body, spirit transformation. But this workshop is kind of a peek through the keyhole into that program, if you will, and a gentle introduction to a lot of these concepts.
Great. I've got one question that is up here, a couple of questions here. So Corey is asking, and you may have answered this, but I'm just going to reiterate it so people, get clarity on this. Corey is asking, is the fast based on grow a new body? Are we doing this alone or guided? Is there other things that we are fasting besides foods?
Yes. So that was a tightly packed question.
Yeah, there's a few questions in a question. So is the fast based on grow a new body?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Are we doing this alone?
No, you're not doing it alone. You're doing it with us, with the group, live coaching sessions with me. So this isn't one of those recorded and download and self-paced things. We're actually going to do this live. So you'll be able to even meet with me. That's an option to meet with me one-on-one if you have any special concerns about your health. I not only have experience doing this, but I'm connected to a very large community of people that are practitioners in different modalities, including Western medicine. So I have quite a lot of resources I can call on if you have any particular concerns that you feel are just your individual concerns. We can work with that as well.
That's great to know. Yeah, because I know we're primarily speaking about the work that you do around the body side is how it may be framed more here today in terms of regaining body health. But you do work and help people in ways that are nonlinear as well.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to just drop in a little bit about what that nonlinear help looks like, or the kind of things that you help people with that people may want to talk to you within the 3-day fast?
Yeah. So the Andean medicine wheel, the Caro people, the Caro tradition, where we go around the wheel, we bring our problems around the wheel, and we get spiritual support from the archetypes, from it going all the way back to the time of the Inca. I'm just going to move. The rain's getting a little heavier where I was sitting.
Okay.
And there are some specific processes and practices that I can teach for checking in with your own guidance. I want to make this clear if this is sounding new and maybe a little weird and scary to people. This isn't like religion. This is really about getting in touch with your own inner guidance. But the Andean traditions really help you do that. It helps you find your own inner wisdom. So you're not taking on some belief of some external thing that's going to help you. This is about connecting to your wisdom and unlocking your own inner healer.
Very amazing. So, Corey, if you have any other questions or we didn't clarify anything, do let us know. I will say again, because I did the last one, and you may not know this, Mark. I haven't told you this, but I'm going to join this next one because what I've discovered as well is that doing a reset like this seasonally, like either 2 or 4 times a year, what I've discovered is 2 things. It has become very easy to do a fast. Like it's maybe the first time a person does one, it seems challenging. But what I've discovered is that as I've cut the sugar out completely as a result of this, it's very easy to do a fast right now, and it does reset. It resets everything. So
Right. And I can tell you, I'm 2 years in now, and you might not believe this, those who are listening, but I don't really get hungry anymore.
yeah, same here.
And I don't get triggered by anything, any kind of food. I can smell anything. And so eating becomes a very intentional, mindful exercise. You can just decide now's the time to eat, and this is what I'm going to do.
Not like 3 times a day. I got to eat at 9 a.m.
Yeah. And I find myself really enjoying playing with the parameters. I do 18-6 fasting, meaning I don't eat for 18 and I eat for 6. And I eat at very specific things at very specific times, generally. But I also really love playing with mixing it up. Like some days I'll just decide, I don't think I'll eat today, just randomly, right? I'm taking the guidance from spirit. It's not really random, but it makes me feel really good to be that empowered and to
Mm.
be able to just decide I'm going to do this. And on a rare occasion, sometimes I'll eat stuff that I normally don't eat. Like this morning, I'm in Boston and there was this amazing vegan diner and I had pancakes. They were vegan pancakes, but I still had pancakes, right? A lot of carbs, but it's fine, right? I checked in and my body said, go ahead, eat it. I'm like, all right, I will. And I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Nice. Well, I'm going to drop the link to the registration place for the 3-day spirit cleanse, and the update. I got this update a little bit late that you have decided to extend the early registration discount.
Yes.
Until when? Until when now?
Sunday at midnight, tomorrow.
Okay. Okay. So the early registration discount is now till Sunday, now midnight, and give us a recap on the pricing.
So the full price is $347 if you wait till the last minute. If you book now, it's $97 until tomorrow at midnight. And then if you wait until after tomorrow at midnight, it's $247.
Okay. That is such a small amount of investment, I have to say, because the change that it has, allowed for me is almost, I can't even put a price on it, but I could put a price on it because the work that I do, and working with other people in in online, the type of consulting work that I do, I charge a premium for the work that I do. And so that means that when I'm able to be more effective for the clients that I work with and the energy to do that work, it is like worth way more than that. I just
Yes.
got to say, so as a testimony to it.
I think we got a question about how long the live coaching sessions are. With 1 hour is what we plan, but sometimes we go over because people love to interact and talk and share their stories, and it becomes a very exuberant kind of a group. So I allow a little extra time sometimes, but the idea is we can do it in an hour.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. That's good to know, because yeah, some people can be on a limited amount of time, and so to know
Yeah.
that it doesn't go on, for hours and hours. But my experience was also that the community space itself, if I recall, that there was a community space that was created
Yes.
for interactions, and I really made some good connections. And like I said, it kind of inspired my re-expansion, into what I needed more of, which was community in my life.
Right.
Well, thank you for dropping in on that other question there, because yeah, I know people wonder how these things done, and I know there's so many different offers that are done online, and I have to just give praise to yours, because it was extraordinary the way you put it together, and all the pre-prep as well, which is very important in terms of making it a enjoyable experience.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's a lot of fun for me to do, and it may sound weird that fasting can be fun, but it can be. It's actually a very life affirming experience to me, and I try to translate that into the group, and I think a lot of people experience it the same way.
Yeah, I definitely did. I definitely did. And yeah, the transformation across many, many different realms, not just the weight loss, although I'm quite happy to have shed 25 pounds, because that has also released a tremendous amount of new energy. So now I have the energy to get back into the gym and doing strength
Mm-hmm.
training. I'm running again now. And I wasn't doing those things before. I sort of, how you can fade into this like acceptable place of like it's good enough,
Right.
and particularly for any of us sitting and working in front of computers all day long, it's like, oh, I forgot that my health has gone in the crapper.
Yeah. Right.
All right, Mark. Well, so good to be on this live stream here with you today. Enjoy the rest of your time in Boston, and I hope to see some pictures online. You got to share some pictures of what it's looking like in
Yeah,
Boston.
and I will do that. And thank you for everybody that attended. And I definitely look forward to seeing you in the workshop and beyond.
All right, so good. Enjoy the Memorial Day weekend, everyone.
All right. Talk to you next time.